YouTube, pros and cons of freeform locks. They're ratty, dirty, just downright unkempt. Won't be able to get a job. Not as nice looking as, traditional locks or twisted locks. What? These may be some of the things you've probably heard or, people have told you over the years or whatever, to varying degrees. Now, whether you come from, whatever background, locks can have, however you started yours or whatever, or however you're thinking about starting them, there's always like pros and cons of them. Now, for me, I don't know, I guess color me lazy. I don't really have many cons I can say about having freeform locks or locks in general. Even when I had them twisted and, I was like meticulously doing whatever, I never really had, societal complaints. I think it's also because, interestingly enough, I've always been kind of a nerdy individual. I've always been kind of a proper sounding individual. So, a lot of the societal stigmas didn't really follow through, especially when people actually saw me or if they met me professionally, working, or if they talked to me beforehand professionally or whatever else, and then they actually meet me, it kind of like throws off everything, which is, it's horrible. It is to say that is a factor, but it's not something I kind of like carry. Like, I don't hold it like, oh, because of this, people judge me this way. It is what it is. I've always just I've never let people's, I guess, opinions of me or race or whatever else, get in my way, because it's their ignorance, if they're whatever, or, even in the workplace. Like I said, my career, I work on cars. I've been working on cars since I got out of school, and never, ever has my hair actually been a hindrance in my career. Now, because it's long, when I do like road course events like SCCA, I'm not a full licensed race driver. I'm actually a intermediate PDX driver. So, a lot of the actual rules, like when I have to wear the safety stuff, I don't have to wear like the full safety suit and everything, but I do have to wear a long sleeve and everything. But the hair is something that they normally mention about because it is longer. It's not necessarily because it's dreadlocks, it's because it's long. It's more of a safety concern. Even when I'm working, I have to keep it, pulled back just as a whole. But that's never been, oh, you got freeform locks, that's the problem. No, it's just, it's not, something in society. Is actually more of a safety thing. Now, unfortunately, if you are one of the individuals that, has faced society's wrath, I guess you could say, all is not lost. I would say, as bad as this is to say, I'm not saying, people's ignorance is something that should be ignored or whatever else, but, don't carry it on your shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, you can't change somebody's upbringing. You can't change their past. You can't change your past. Live and let live. If they're too ignorant to understand, just keep going. Just let them go. Because ultimately, yes, standing up for a cause is one thing, but sitting there, oh, you got to understand my point, it doesn't do anything. Like, ultimately, you get the wrong people riled up, and it just creates a big thing. And one thing I've learned about having locks is actually just this kind of mentality, because interestingly enough, I won't say I've never been oh my god, stereotyped, because it's happened, but I've never worn it, or I've never made a big stink about it. I've gone to a store and actually had people like almost like look at me as if I'm trying to steal something, just to turn out that I have more money than what they expected. Even when I was younger, they're like, "Oh, now I'm not rich by any means. Like I do okay. I'm like a middle class, individual. But I will say because of locks, and not even like I said, not even freeform, just having locks, because of many different things. Just so many different things. Just so screwed up with the world that ultimately I can sit here and try to defend a point of whatever, but I can only defend who I am. I'm not making this video because I had an experience recently, but just as a whole, like my experience with locks, it bears no greater thing than any other experience you ever have in life. You know what I mean? Like it's not that the dreadlocks. I mean, they do put a label on you, just like the dreadlocks do have a label or stigma about around them. That's the reason why I use the term locks versus dreadlocks, because there's nothing dreadful about my hair. But that's just that. I mean, you'll get judged no matter what, whether you have perfectly whatever dreadlocks. If you do something that somebody doesn't like, if you look by some thing, if you act some way, you're automatically associated with labels. So to say that dreadlocks would make life harder or have a whatever to you, in my opinion, what I've learned is just let it go. I love my hair for what it is. I love it being natural. You should love your hair. You should love who you are for who you are. Not that, letting what other people think about you or your hair or whatever else should persuade you. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You have your life to live. Nobody else can say what, you should do. It's you. You make the choice. Simple as that. If somebody doesn't like your hair, whatever. Bye. Don't, you don't have to make a big deal about it. Oh, you don't like my hair. No, just walk away. Simple as that. Because trust me, it's not worth the stress, energy, or whatever else to try to convince this potentially ignorant person who probably won't even hear what you're actually trying to tell them at all anyways. So you just keep on going and you'll find that life is easier. And the pros and cons of dreadlocks, in society wise, you may get judged, but you're not going to get judged any more than you normally would if you had any other form of hair or if you act any different or whatever else. It's one of those things that, even like I said at the beginning of the video, people over the last 10 years working professionally have talked to me on the phone, from states over, come to where I work, and they're like, "You're the guy I talked to on the phone." I'm like, "Yeah." But the thing is, it's the fact that they kind of look at it like, "Oh my God," and then they actually see that I'm able to do it, and I gain so much more respect because of it. And it's just like, even having the locks, like it commands a different level of authority. Even if that's my son, like, he decided that he wants his hair to lock up too, so he's like truly freeform. So he has the full curls trying to turn into locks. So, but yeah, like, don't let people's opinion get to you. Even amongst the lock community, don't let that bother you, because you get every side of it. People that will love it, people that hate it, whatever. It's not worth it. That's just my opinion of it. Overall, I will say having thicker locks, if you don't have them tied back, or when you're keep them wrapped up or whatever when you're trying to sleep or whatever, that is a con, because it does make you sleep a certain way. But overall in life, actually having locks has made my life easier, because it's like one thing I don't even worry about. I get up, I go, I do whatever, and I don't have to worry about getting a haircut. I don't have to worry about doing whatever. I just out the door. Well, get myself ready, do the normal stuff, and then get myself to go and blah blah blah. Like, it's one less step in life that people take for granted. The people that are accustomed to getting their haircut and so on. Anyways, I know this is kind of a long video. It's kind of like the pros and cons and society, whatevers. But figured it'd make a nice little addition to my video collection. And I'll continue to go on with making more. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe.